A good morning, friends. Today you will understand the TDS provisions under the new Income Tax Act 2025, which will be applicable from 1st April 2026. Hence, it's important to understand and remember it. The Section 393 deals with TDS. There are various types of TDS which are all made in the form of a table in the section 393, and we can get all the TDS provisions under one section in a table format. The basically this is a very important and easy to understand. The first one is commission or brokerage. Here the if you are getting commission as an insurance agent, then the TDS to be deducted by the payer is the rate in force. The threshold limit is more than 20,000 rupees. Hence, if you are getting commission from the insurance, then the TDS will be as follows. The next one is any income by way of commission not being the insurance commission referred to in the serial number 1 or the brokerage. Here it is other than the insurance commission. Then the payer is the specified person who pays. The rate is 2%. The threshold limit here also is rupees 20,000 rupees. Then the next one comes is the rent. Here also the rent, you have to understand any income by way of rent, person other than the specified person, the rate is 2%. The threshold limit is rupees 50,000 for a month or part of a month. The second one is any income by way of rent. Here it is specified person. Here it is divided into two parts. One is the 2% if it's a plant machinery equipment, then it is 2%. If it's land, building, etc., then it is 10%. As now also it is the same thing. Here also the threshold limit, if it's more than 20,000, 50,000 rupees for a month or part of month, then TDS has to be deducted. The next one is payment on the transfer of certain immovable property other than agricultural land. Here, any consideration for the transfer of any immovable property other than agricultural land, the person other than the person who are required to deduct tax under the serial number 3, the rate applicable is 1% of the consideration for the transfer of immovable property or the stamp duty value of the such property, whichever is higher. The threshold limit here is 50 lakhs rupees. Right now also the same thing is there. Then the other is any consideration not being consideration in kind referred under the agreement to in the section 67 subsection 14. Any person, the rate is 10%, the threshold limit is nil. So you have to deduct 10% if you are making 1 rupee payment also. So this is a very important thing to be noted. Then the next one is any sum being in the nature of compensation or the enhanced compensation or consideration or the enhanced consideration on the account of compulsory acquisition under any law for time being in force of any immovable property other than the agricultural land. If it's be a compensation which is received, then any person, the rate is 10%. The threshold limit is if it's be more than 5 lakhs rupees. Here, most of the things the government gives waiver, but if the government has not given waiver and if the compensation is paid, then 10% has to be deducted the TDS. The next one is income from capital market. Any income in respect of units of mutual fund specified under the schedule 7. Any person, the rate is 10%, the threshold limit is 10,000 rupees. The next one is any distributed income referred to in the section 223 being of the nature referred to in the Schedule 5, any business trust rate is 10%, the threshold limit is nil. So you have to deduct from any amount if it's be 1 rupee also. Any income other than the proportion of the income which is exempt under the Schedule 5 in respect of units of investments funds specified in the section 224 payable to its unit holder. Any investment fund specified in the section 224, the rate is 10%, the threshold limit is nil. Any income in respect of investments in the securitization trust specified in the section 221 to an investor. Any securitization trust specified in the section 221, the rate is 10%, the threshold limit is nil. Interest income. Now let us discuss the interest income. Any income by way of interest on the securities, any person, the rate in force, the threshold limit is 10,000 rupees. When I'm saying the threshold limit, you have to understand that if it's be more than 10,000 rupees, then you have to deduct TDS. If it's be below 10,000, then there is no need to deduct TDS. So now the next one is any income by way of interest other than the interest on the securities, a banking company or a cooperative society carrying on the business of banking, a post office, that in force rate in force means the rate will be notified by the government and it will be applicable as SIP. The threshold limit is 1 lakh in the case of senior citizen and 50,000 in the case of the person other than the senior citizen. So now you have understood the major things. Now let us go in detail further. The any income being interest other than interest on securities, the specified person other than the person in the serial number 5, the rate in force, the threshold limit will be 10,000 rupees. The sixth one, payment to contractors fee for professional and technical services, etc. This is same as 192C, which is now applicable. Any sum or for carrying out any work, including the supply of labor, for carrying out any work in presence of the contract between the contractor and the designated person. Any designated person, the rate is 1% if the contractor is an individual or HUF, the 2% if the contractor is the person other than the person mentioned in A. The threshold limit for A and B is 30,000 for any such sum and rupees 1 lakh in the case of aggregate of the such sums. Any person, any sum for carrying out any work, including the supply of labor, for carrying out any work in presence of the contract or by way of fees for professional services. Any person being an individual or HUF required to deduct income tax as per the serial number 6, then the 2%, the threshold limit is 50 lakhs rupees. The threshold limit is 50 lakhs rupees. So it's a good development. Now let us conclude here. We will take in the next series the further sections. Thank you and subscribe to the channel.